Hey everyone, welcome to the first off the top rope of 2025. We are reacting to Friday Night SmackDown, the first ever 3 hour edition of Friday Night SmackDown. And needless to say, this was a newsworthy edition of this show. Um, a lot of ways we can go here to start the show, but let's start off at the top with the big note from the night. It's Tiffy time. Tiffany Stratton is your WWE Women's Champion after a fantastic match between Naomi and Nia Jax. Tiffany Stratton does a misdirect. She fakes that she's going to cash in, making it a triple threat, then hits Naomi in the head with the briefcase, ultimately leading to Nia hitting the Annihilator. We think that there's going to be they're aligning with each other, like that Tiffany, it was all a ruse and whatever. And then Nia goes to hit the Annihilator on Bianca Belair as they're beating him up in the post match. Tiffany hits Nia in the back with the briefcase. She gets rid of Candice LeRae. Um, she's waiting outside the ring for the cash in. Bianca Belair, one of the things that I don't think this is going to get enough publicity because Tiffany Stratton being the women's champion is a big fucking deal to go all the way with her just a year into, like, I mean, she was in NXT back in 2021. She's 3 years into this thing, and she's been on the main roster for less than a year, and she's the women's champion, which is amazing and it's amazing to consider all of that goes into this. But Bianca Belair, maybe the most powerful woman and maybe one of the most gifted athletes that I've ever seen in my entire life. Because yes, she had an assist from the top rope. KOD'd, which is, if you know the KOD, like, that's insane to do that to somebody like Nia Jax. Like, that is unbelievable. So that part of it goes down. Then Tiffany gets rid of Bianca, cashes in the briefcase, hits the prettiest moonsault ever, which really is the prettiest moonsault ever. The people in Phoenix go absolutely apeshit. And Tiffany Stratton, it's Tiffy time. She's your WWE Women's Champion, and dare I say, and I know there's been some great cash-ins. You could think about Seth Rollins, the heist of the century. You could think about all of these great cash-ins that have happened over the course of time. But or Edge, the original cash-in, he's had a couple of them in his career. Like, there's been some good cash-ins that have happened over the course of time. But in terms of story and payoff, this might have been the best cash-in that I've ever seen because to, for one, to start the seeds, because Nia won the championship when Tiffany still had the briefcase, and that's where this whole thing started. And he built an angle around the briefcase, which they have not done really since the briefcase was implemented about 2 decades ago. Like, it's really amazing because Vince McMahon used it as his get out of jail free card. It wasn't really used as a storyline device. And in this case, with Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, it was used to perfection. And to do what they were able to do, and I give credit to all the women that were involved in this sequence of events. Candice LeRae played her role perfectly in this match. Tiffany Stratton, obviously the star of the show. Nia Jax, who, by the way, a fantastic women's title reign. I know she doesn't get her flowers, and I heard some "you can't wrestle" chants in the crowd. This bucked the trend. Yes, Nia is not perfect, but she proved through the last year or so and through this women's title reign that she is a top tier women's superstar in all of professional wrestling. Like, she earned her stripes through this. So Nia did her job. Bianca Belair did her job. And of course, I've got to give love to Naomi because every freaking time, and they might turn her heel, and that may be good for her career with this Jade Cargill thing that still needs to be sorted out. Naomi is fucking great. She is fucking great. She is not just a gimmick. She is just not the glow. This woman, who I remember seeing on, like, the first female edition of NXT, and she was Kelly's rookie. This woman has evolved into one of the best female superstars. She went to TNA and rounded her game there. She went out there and, like, it's hard to work with somebody bigger than you. Like, and I'm saying this not just from a female perspective, but from a male perspective. But to work as seamlessly, and this isn't the first time with Nia. They've done this many times, and it's been great. This was probably their best encounter. And yes, there was the screwy finish, but that played into the story of Tiffany just screwing over, of Tiffany lulling Nia to sleep and kind of pulling the okey doke on her, and then getting the cash in and getting what she wants. And the payoff was just so great. You get that molten hot crowd who was into this match. They were into this angle. They wanted to see Tiffany cash in that briefcase. And for once, we finally see a moment and a story being told with this briefcase that had never really happened. Even the Seth Rollins briefcase, that was just a get out of jail free card moment. And it was shocking, but there was no story to it. It was just, hey, Seth Rollins has the briefcase. We don't want the fans don't want Brock Lesnar to win. They don't want Roman Reigns to win. So there's that. I mean, even with Miz, like, it's just like you're throwing random people into these matches to cash in because they have the briefcase. Like, I remember Alberto Del Rio. I could go through all of the cash ins in the course of it. Alberto Del Rio cashed in on CM Punk with the help of Kevin Nash, if you remember that from like 15 years ago. Like, there's been some weird cash-ins, like the maybe the Daniel Bryan, like the Randy Orton cash-in on Daniel Bryan. I was there in that building, and it was a shocking moment where that was really the formation of the Authority. That might have been kind of a story, but there wasn't anything built up to it. There was something built up in this angle with Tiffany Stratton um, to get to a point where she was being used by Nia Jax, being abused by Nia Jax. You bring in Candice LeRae, who's kind of effectively taking the place. Tiffany's not there. And then you have this amazing match happen. And then you have Tiffany help Nia win. And then all of these roadblocks to get every single piece out of the way before Tiffany cashes in. That's good storytelling. And I credit Triple H. This was, dare I say, one of the best executed cash-ins I've ever seen in the history of the briefcase, and that goes back 20 years. So the first cash-in happened in 2006. The first Money in the Bank match was 2005. So it really is amazing that it took this long to execute a story to this level. So I'm talking about just like you could say as a singular cash-in, it's probably not the best, but in terms of a full-on story, that's as good of a cash-in as you are ever going to see. And I give credit, Tiffany Stratton has earned it. This woman came in with no wrestling experience. She was a gymnast 3-4 years ago, and now she's the damn women's champion, and she's probably going to have a WrestleMania match with the standard of women's wrestling in Charlotte Flair. I thought Charlotte Flair maybe, but, give Tiffany her moment and let's let this, sort itself out. Maybe Charlotte comes back at the Rumble and then we start building to the match with Tiffany at some point. But the point is, that was the big moment of this show. It was a great show for 3 hours. Like, none of it really dragged. A lot of people were worried, hey, going to 3 hours was going to be a problem. I actually thought that this was a pretty good show. Andrade and if you want to peel back some of the big points that happened on the show or some of the stuff that happened in between, um, Andrade and Shinsuke Nakamura had a pretty good match. Shinsuke has been booked really well since winning the United States Championship and coming back as this, like, this kind of like ghetto samurai. It almost feels like his very dark samurai gimmick that he's got going on. LA Knight's going to get a match against him for the U.S. title. We'll see how that goes. But this is the best Nakamura's looked in a while. I think Andrade's fantastic. I love, I've, you guys know from watching the show, I love the spinning back elbow. I love the double moonsaults. Like he's so smooth in the ring. So I hope they find something for him to do. And maybe he gets moved in the transfer window. So that was really the second big thing. But Cody Rhodes, off the top, he has a whole promo with Drew McIntyre, which was really good, seemingly establishing that it feels like Drew's going to go to SmackDown in the transfer window. So that'll be interesting, creating more opponents for Cody beyond Kevin Owens after this ladder match happens at the Royal Rumble. There's been some doubt as to whether or not The Rock will be involved at WrestleMania. So there's some things that, and we'll talk about that later down the line in a couple of other videos here on Off the Top Rope. Paul Heyman had a really good promo, really setting the stage. I mean, Paul Heyman could sell like anything. Like, he could sell any kind of match. but he did an unbelievable job ahead of this tribal combat match. And then Solo comes out. Actually been really coming into his own since Bad Blood. Um, and it's really kind of built to this point for this tribal combat match on Monday on the Netflix premiere, where seemingly Paul Heyman's going to be the holder of the Ulafala. And not only is the Ulafala and the title of tribal chief going to be on the line, Paul Heyman as the wise man is going to be on the line. So maybe just maybe the Heyman maybe screws over Roman. A lot of people seem to think that that may be the route they go, but we'll see. But that was really good. Um, like I said, the women's match was great. The main event was great. Having the bloodline go over strong. It was nice to see Jimmy and Jay and Sammy all announced as the Usos going out to Jay's music. I really want to hear the old OG Usos theme song, which is basically just, you know, a duet version of Jay's news theme song. Like they just redid it. Uh it's not, it's just me Us, it's just us Us or something like that. I forgot what it's, but I hope they down since day one ish. So like I hope they go back to that, but it seems like Sammy's gonna be on SmackDown. Um it also seems like with Jey Uso running into Kevin Owens backstage that they're seemingly building to some another match, another version of the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens rivalry, which would be fantastic. So all in all, this SmackDown was really good. Um, when we look back on this in comparison to what's going to happen on Monday, there's going to be no comparison. The Netflix debut is effectively a PLE. Like it's effectively like you've got three matches that you could easily see at any premium live event. You got Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan. You've got um, Tribal Combat, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa. And then you got CM Punk, Seth Rollins, which was going to be one of the key matches at WrestleMania last year. So I can't wait to see that. It's going to be exciting. Los Angeles, first ever WWE event at the Intuit Dome, which will be very interesting to see how it looks there. Um, WWE has predominantly done their shows in LA at Crypto.com Arena, or what was previously known as the Staples Center. So it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing shakes out. But by all accounts, it's going to be a great show. Expecting a lot of surprises. John Cena reportedly going to be on the show. Maybe The Rock shows up. But we gotta talk about some John Cena and Rock stuff here on Off the Top Rope. We'll have some episodes coming out over the course of the weekend in regards to a lot of things, WrestleMania rumors and stuff. Whether John Cena, where he's going to be at, where you know The Rock's going to fit in, a lot of stuff to talk about there. We also got to talk about AEW because AEW started their year on Wednesday, and I just don't see a lot of change. And there's been some news out that just has me concerned. I'm going to start calling Tony Khan Tony McMahon Khan, I guess, because he's basically Vince McMahon 40 years younger without the sex allegations, because some of these patterns of behavior and booking are just, stupid. So, but again, a great night for WWE. It remains to be seen how this 3-hour format will work for SmackDown, but it seems like it worked really well tonight. As we move further along throughout the year, we'll see how it goes. And then, Netflix on Monday, man, it's the biggest event on television for WWE. Um, I think maybe ever, because in terms of a televised show, this is probably one of their biggest events of all time. This debut on Netflix, because um, obviously you talk about the premium live events are different, but this is to do something like this with a $5 billion price tag on it on Netflix, and the way that they're loading up this card, this could be one of the more iconic moments in wrestling ever. Like this is one of the big moments of all time. They've been promoting the heck out of it, and we'll see how it turns out. Like we'll have a post show after that as well, and I will talk to you guys after that. And get at me on Twitter at off the mic 28 or OT Mike Sports, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye bye.